Welcome to JasonWhiskyWise. My name is Jason. Welcome to this whiskey review where today, here on the channel, we're going to be doing a little mini-series into Ardbeg. And we've got 3 expressions from Ardbeg, which we're going to explore in the next couple videos. And then from there, I've actually got quite a lot of other videos. I've actually got a whole table of samples here, about 200 samples, which I'll be getting through, not today, but in the coming days as well. So, to start off our little mini-series into Ardbeg, I've got 3 expressions that have joined the Ardbeg core range since I last posted my 3 videos on Ardbeg, which were the Ardbeg 10, the Uigeadail, and the Corryvreckan. If you've missed any of those, I'll leave a link in the top left corner. Feel free to go and check it. I think I'll leave a card so you can see the whole Ardbeg playlist. If you're interested in Ardbeg whiskies, I'll add also these 3 after they've been uploaded, so you can have a full playlist of all the core expressions from Ardbeg. So today we're going to be reviewing the Ardbeg An Oa, and this one over here is a sample I got from the Perfect Measure, which is part of a tasting pack from the Whiskey Exchange Whiskey Show. I think it was 2020? Yeah, definitely not 2019, because I remember that was a physical show. I worked it. But 2020 there was a little class which they had with Mickey Heads, who used to work at the distillery, is now retired. And there was a class which you got to try the whole core range of Ardbeg's core products, the 10, the Uigeadail. I don't think there was a Corryvreckan, but they did have the An Oa, the 5-year-old Beastie, and the 19-year-old Traigh Bhan, which also just joined the core range last year. And it ended with an Ardbeg Ardbeg. It was a really fun tasting, and really you got to see the complete differences between all the Ardbeg expressions. So definitely something I really enjoyed, and I saved a little bit of this dram so we can do a review today. So Ardbeg An Oa, what is it exactly? The Ardbeg An Oa is a new whiskey into their range. It actually joined back in 2017. There's been a couple of years since I actually released, since I've been able to get my hands on a sample. But it's a no-age statement whiskey in my review style structure. It is a no-age statement whiskey. It's bottled at an ABV of 46.6% ABV. So it's definitely, when it comes to no-age statements, it's lighter than the Uigeadail and also the Corryvreckan. Now, in terms of the cask combination or the cask maturation for this one, it's matured in PX, ex-virgin charred oak, and I think the last one was ex-bourbon casks. And all 3 are married together in what they call a gathering vat. So, in terms of the distillery itself, it is from the Ardbeg distillery. You can see Mr. Bananas, he's actually in quarantine right now. In terms of the parent company, is LVMH, Louis Vuitton Moet Hennessy. And they are owned by, they are located on the Islay region of Scotland, so the Isle of Islay. So, in terms of price point, on a full-size bottle of this, you're looking here in the UK approximately around about £45. Now, the reason I've said that, initially when it was released, its retail was £50. They have dropped the price a little bit. There was a special offer I saw recently at £40, and then I saw it go all the way up to £50. So it's somewhere in that £45, give or take. Now, in terms of exclusivity, it's not exclusive. It is part of the core range, so you will be seeing this joining the 10, the Uigeadail, and the Corryvreckan. So, without further ado, let's dive into the actual nose of this whiskey. And some of you have been wondering also about the name. If you actually saw the advert that Ardbeg released when this was released, it was quite a, I'd say, cringy advert. It was a bit weird, but it gives you definitely a bit of a laugh. It's named after the Isle of, I think it's the Mull of O. So, Mull of O. Yeah, I think that sounds about right. Anyway, without further ado, let's get into our tasting notes on the nose, into the nose. First impressions of this one, you do get the ashy smoke coming to the forefront on the nose of this one. It's not heavy, it's not earthy as such. This is to me more like the ashy smoke, like you built a fire, coals. And then sort of, as they're sort of fading away, those briquettes are cracking and they're just going into ash, that smoke of, the smoke coming from the ash, that sort of a softer smoke to it. And then behind that, you're getting the fruits, and you're getting quite an interesting array of fruits. You're getting citrus fruits, and this is more sweeter. For me, it's like candied peels. It's more, I'd say, borderline actually. It's like honeyed peel, where you've got a sweetness of a honey, but you're getting the citrus peel, lemons, limes. I'm interestingly also getting pears on this one. But this is more like you've taken pears and you've char grilled them, or you've put them on like a barbecue. As it's really nice and warm here in the UK at the minute, you can pretty much do anything on the barbecue. So it's thank God it's not raining, but it's like you put pears on the barbecue and you can smell them almost caramelizing. That coastal sea breeze is also there behind it, but it's not so in your face with the sort of iodine note of it. And there is also like a toasted vanilla. Like if you're taking a vanilla pod and you actually, what you do is you either can toast it to just bring out the aroma and the essence, but also if you have a vanilla pod at home, just rub it between your hands. And what you'll do, you'll see the actual warmth from that creates a nice aroma. Now also behind this, you are getting that tarry note. And this tarry note, there's different ways to describe tar in whiskey. Some people don't like the aspect of tar, but you can associate it to tarmac, like on the road, tarry rope. You can also do it as, you know, tar that you're using for, I don't know, when it's cooling down. So when there's just been the first sort of rain, when someone's just down the road, and you can smell that cooling of the tar. There's different aspects of tar, but on this one, I'm getting almost like a tarry rope. And that sweetness of those fruits really coming back on the nose. There's even a bit of, like I'd say, black licorice. It's like you bought a pack of licorice and you're smelling the black licorice. It's got a little bit of that oomph to it. But that's about it for the nose on this one. Let's see what they have on the palate. It's larger. Interesting. So to begin my first impressions on the actual palate for this whiskey, arrival onto the palate. The texture you're finding this one, to me, I find it a bit light. It arrives light, and as you hold it on the palate, it starts to develop. I'd say keep it about maybe 15, 20 seconds, maybe 30 seconds. You'll see the texture starts going into more of a medium texture where it develops a slight velvety character. But you are greeted with a lot of spice up front, on the forefront of your palate and on the sides. You're getting a lot of black pepper, black cloves. And this element of spice then evolves and changes and goes into a more of a sweeter spice. Cinnamon and sweet cloves. That cloves really does hold quite strong on this one. It is, you can feel it almost on the sides of your palate. From there, you go into more like barbecued fruits. You're getting, you know, caramelized fruits. And then you work your way into citrus. And for me, I'm finding it's going a little bit bitter. Bitter through the center of the palate. I'm finding lemon pith, grapefruit pith, and grapefruit juice. The inside, it's like you've taken a grapefruit, you've cut it, you've taken off the skin, and you've not really done a great job. And sometimes you leave the insides of the grapefruit on there with the actual, you know, the so-called flesh of the grapefruit. But it's like you combine the two together, and sometimes when you chew into it, getting that sour note, and then sometimes you get straight away that bitter note from the pith. But all in all, this one then goes into almost like a dryness. It dries on the palate. You get dark cocoa powder, and it goes even a little bit herbaceous. It's very interesting. But not a lot behind that. It just stays within that sort of safe field. Interesting. So we're going to take my sip and finally give you the finishing notes, and we'll come to our conclusion on the Ardbeg An Oa. Sláinte. So overall, to conclude on the Ardbeg An Oa, in terms of the finish for this whiskey, the finish I would say is more in the field of medium, maybe medium full. It does hang around quite well. Actually, no, it's not super long. Maybe medium to be safe. Now, in terms of flavor profiles, you do get a lot of citrus on the end of the palate. You get a slight even burnt rubbery note. And for me, it's reminding me of honey cured ham, or with a bit more extra honey on this one, because the sweetness really is quite, you know, quite dominant on this one. From there, you're getting that minerality note, but again, it just reminds me of like a cured ham, but with, you know, honey cured ham. So overall, in terms of my actual concluding notes on this one and my score, I'm going to give this one here a respectable 84 out of 100. For me, I feel I wanted a little bit more with the cask combination that they've used in this whiskey. The citrus is quite dominant, and for me, the aspect that really pulls the score down on this one is the bitter aspect. I find it rather bitter on the mid palate. In terms of money, time, and, you know, is it worth it in terms of it doesn't need water, etc. In terms of money, I think it's okay, because at the minute, when you look at whiskies, £50 is kind of like the benchmark nowadays when it comes to any whiskey that's being released. Because things are going on auction and then they're suddenly just, you know, going triple or double in value. But in terms of this one, it's okay. I feel for what it is, it's, you know, a lot more dominant, say, in citrus aspect compared to the 10-year-old. So if I had to choose between the Uigeadail and this one for that extra, you know, £10, I'd probably go straight to the Uigeadail. In terms of does it need water, does it need time, I'd say yes. For water, definitely. Add a few drops of water, it pulls down that citrusy aspect that you find on the palate. And it just makes it a little bit more mellow, and it doesn't, you know, the spice is not so intense. In terms of time, give this some time in the glass, let it breathe. This sample has been open for now almost about 8 months, and I actually had a bottle of this one, which, you know, I got to about halfway, and then I said, you know what, I'm giving it to a friend because I just really couldn't sit with that whiskey as frequently as I can sit, for example, with the 10 or the Uigeadail. So for me, it's an okay whiskey, but that's why I'm giving it 84 points. Now let me know what you guys think of the Ardbeg. I know if you've tried it, down below in the comment section. But if you guys have enjoyed the video, I'm going to leave this video at that. Drop it a thumbs up. Be sure to hit the subscribe button if you're new to stay up to date with all the new uploads that I'm going to be planning to do. And if you guys have missed any of the other videos from Ardbeg, I'll leave a playlist here on the screen. So feel free to check those out. But this has been me, JasonWhiskyWise, and I'll catch you all for the next video. Slàinte.